What's up, brewskis?
It's been a while.
It's been a while. Yeah. Have you missed us?
Yeah.
We've missed you.
I've missed us.
I've missed us. This is us. And we're back. Tonight's brew is from Sideward Brewing.
Yeah.
It is their Sideward Sabbath. Congratulations to them. We're a little late to the party. We're a little late to the party on some of the stuff that we're going to talk about just because it's been a weird couple of weeks. And we'll get into that as well.
Yeah.
So this is their Baltic Porter, and Obi's going to have a little bit more about that after the break. What's on tap for tonight? Trailer trash. This is a proper trailer trash, ladies and gentlemen. We got the teaser for Fantastic Four. Finally.
Yeah.
Finally.
Yeah. Yep.
We got some Jurassic World stuff. What else? I mean, we got the Final Destination teaser as well.
It's a teaser. It's a little teaser. It's a little teaser. Yeah.
I mean, I have opinions on Final Destination. Have you seen all the Final Destination movies?
Who do you think you're talking to?
Okay, good.
Who do you think
I must have forgot. I must have forgot.
You musta.
And I apologize.
It's okay.
And then
okay.
What else we got?
We have the recently announced Gundam movie, finally in production after rumors for the past 15 years. From Legendary Pictures. Yeah.
And then last but not least, like I said, we're a little late to the party, but we still wanted to talk about it. The Oscar nominations.
Yeah.
Pretty interesting. Pretty interesting.
You can
and you guys
say
probably
that again.
know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So we're going to get into all that, maybe more, maybe less. But before we can do anything, we got to get into this show proper. So, ladies and gentlemen, please, if you will, join us for the 450th episode of the One Beer In podcast. All right, this is the One Beer In podcast, a podcast where two brews crack open a brew, and we see where that one brew takes us. My name is Marco Dupa, and with me as always, the great and powerful Adam Obesius Rodriguez.
Yeah, buddy.
Didn't do that in the beginning.
It's okay.
Wrapped it back around.
It's all right.
We got to it. Okay, Obi, you want to tell the people a little bit more about what we're drinking tonight?
I would love to. Unfortunately, as is customary with Sideward Brewing, we don't have a cold read. We do have cool art, which you will see on the Instagram. But I did look it up on the Google. And
Google machine.
The read is as follows. This is the Sideward Sabbath 6 Baltic Porter. Baltic Porters are rich and malty with notes of caramel, toffee, and licorice. This is what I've realized, just a description of what a Baltic Porter is. So, okay, here we go. From Untapped.
Did you check on their Instagram?
Who has time for that? According to Untapped, this is a light-bodied, crisp, very roasty porter. A little bitter, not sweet at all, smooth and gentle for a porter.
Smooth and gentle.
So I believe that was a review from someone.
That's kind of sounded like it.
So we'll see.
You know what? We'll just give our own review.
We'll see for
okay?
as we
we'll
always
drink
do.
It ourselves.
As we always do.
Yes. Shout out to Jazzy, by the way. From
last
week's episode.
Yeah. Thanks for listening.
Yeah,
appreciate the response on there, and we did very much enjoy your beer. Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry. Okay, let's get into this. It is time for a proper trailer trash.
Trailer trash.
You know what it is, ladies and gentlemen. Trailer trash. We're going to talk about some trailers for some new movies that are coming out. So, first and foremost, the long-awaited, announced a while ago, the Fantastic Four movie. We're now getting into. So I was talking to Brad about how many Marvel movies he had seen.
Okay.
And what started off as a conversation of, I haven't really watched a lot of the TV shows. I kind of have to get back to those. Turned into, oh, you haven't seen anything post Phase 2. He hasn't watched anything.
Okay.
He thinks he watched the Avengers movie. He watched Guardians of the Galaxy.
Which one?
The first one.
Okay.
He watched Guardians. He watched the first Iron Man. Actually, I don't even think he's done with Phase 1. So he was like, what do I do? Where do I start? And I was like, start with, if you're going to do Phase 2, start with Winter Soldier.
Oh, yeah.
Do the Captain America movies.
Yeah.
Because he saw the first Captain America movie. So I was like, finish that series. Because you'll have Winter Soldier. You'll have Civil War. If you're not going to watch like all 40 movies or whatever they're at this point, I think it's like 38 or 39 movies, maybe more.
Which you don't have to. Like
No. I would only say that for somebody who legitimately is trying to like understand all of this.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to take a while. It's a slog in some parts.
But it's easier than ever. You know,
yeah.
With
you
Disney,
just sit on Disney Plus,
you could be there all day.
Yeah, I recently rewatched Infinity War and Endgame. They hold up. They're pretty good.
Oh yeah,
they're pretty good. Yeah. Pretty good.
But again, it's pretty good when it's all like the summation of everything that you've seen.
Yeah.
Throughout the entire all the phases put together.
What's also really sad too, because when you watch those movies, it stands in stark contrast to what has been coming out recently.
Yeah.
So you're like, wow, man, they might have really peaked here, because these two movies to end the like original Avengers saga, the Infinity Saga, I believe. Oh man, that's kind of we talked about it when it happened, like how hard it was going to be to top that, and that maybe they didn't have the players to do it yet. And now you have Brave New World is out. Just came out, or I think it's coming out.
Coming out this weekend. Yeah.
So by the time you hear this, it'll be
out.
But the first wash of reviews are not favorable.
Not great.
That is the end of the current phase, Brave New World, and Fantastic Four: First Steps is in the new phase, phase 6, because all that stuff was phase 5.
Okay,
I believe.
I have no idea.
Yeah, I could be wrong. Either it's 6 or 7. Let's just say 6 for the sake of argument.
Doesn't matter.
I'm not going to look it up.
Doesn't matter.
But all the TV shows, all of the movies that everyone hated, that was all Phase 5.
Yeah.
So I think you can kind of essentially say that Phase 5 has been the worst phase for them.
Oh yeah.
Essentially. But with this Fantastic Four movie, starts the new phase.
Which will have apparently Secret Wars.
Yes, Secret Wars and Doomsday.
Doomsday.
That's going to be the culmination, I think.
Which makes sense why you're introducing the Fantastic Four if you're going to have Doctor Doom eventually, which is already announced. Yada, yada, yada. It's all connected.
And it's all like a multiverse thing and stuff like that. So
right.
So let's get into the trailer.
Okay. Yes.
First Steps.
Yeah, First Steps is the name of it. Fantastic Four: First Steps. Our first look at this new Fantastic Four, very retro style, which I like. A lot of people point this out, but I like how it kind of stands in a stark contrast from a lot of the gray, washed out kind of superhero genre stuff we've seen for the last like 10 years.
Who's directing this? Do you know off the top of your head?
I don't. Look it up. Yeah. I'm not really familiar with everyone involved with this movie because, frankly, I've been pretty detached.
Sorry. I don't know why that happened.
My goodness.
I just was pulling something up. I don't know why the music started. That was Cheat Codes by Black Thought and Danger Mouse, by the way. So
you playing me off?
That is what that kind of like. All right, enough.
We're getting to the Oscars later. Relax. Yeah. So I've been so unengaged with the MCU, like a lot of people have, that I haven't really been paying attention. Mostly so that I can be pleasantly surprised when something actually does hit, which was what I was hoping for with the new Captain America. But it's not looking very good, critically at least.
I'll tell you this, okay, to kind of go back for a second to the director question. It is Matt Shakman, who is he's an American director and former child actor, I guess. He was in some old stuff. He mostly directed TV shows. Now, on first glance, you go, oh, he's a TV director. But He directed episodes of It's Always Sunny.
Okay.
And Fargo. And Game of Thrones. So this guy.
So he's essentially made movies before.
Yeah, he's done some cool shit, and not just that, but when you get into like the early 2000s, he did some episodes of Psych, which if you've never watched Psych, it's awesome. Hold on, is this a producer credit or director credit? Okay, Psych. He did some episodes of House.
Okay.
He did 43 episodes of It's Always Sunny. So,
wow.
So he's not just some like bit guy.
Yeah.
Ugly Betty, Weeds, also a great show. Hung. Yeah. He did some Children's Hospital, which that's cool.
So it sounds like MCU's going back to what they used to do, which is get comedy experienced directors.
Yeah. He directed an episode of The Boys. He directed an episode of Succession.
Okay.
He did a bunch of WandaVision as a producer and director.
So he's obviously familiar with not only the superhero genre, but specifically the MCU.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, that gives me more confidence than just on first glance.
Yeah, yeah. So you hear the name and you hear that he's a TV director, and you're like, blech.
Which is a really outdated way of thinking, honestly, because a lot of TV, especially prestige TV, which is a lot of the stuff he's done, is like on that film level.
I think, though, that's the conversation that you need to have when you're talking about a TV director. Okay, he's a TV director, but did he direct Game of Thrones?
Right.
Or did he direct NCIS?
Right.
Those are two different conversations.
Sure.
So, yeah, I do appreciate that they're going after a relative unknown. Not like he just doesn't have a big name in the biz.
Yeah.
Although they are going back to the Russos for the Avengers movies.
Yes.
So they haven't completely left the well.
Well, it seems like they're going back to basics and going back to what worked in the past, which can backfire because a lot of people are hungry for something new. Yeah. That's one of the biggest complaints about the MCU is that, like, it's kind of the same thing over and over and over again. We've seen it all. And
then when they try to do something different, everybody hated Multiverse of Madness. But you guys were wrong.
Not everybody. Not everybody.
And 10 years from now, when you're looking back on these movies and everyone's like, you know what? That movie actually was great. Yeah. And we told you in the moment that it was great.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And you're going to get mad because they're going back to the Russos. And I don't blame them for going back to the Russos because they're like, all right, well, we tried to think outside the box.
Our last best thing was with them.
Yeah.
So it makes sense.
Yeah, I get it. But the problem is, I think those dudes have become too comfortable with what they've been doing because everything that they've done outside of the MCU has sucked. I shouldn't say sucked, but it's just been really mediocre.
Yeah, nothing is hit in the way that... And, to be completely fair, how could it really? But if they were...
But I'm not even comparing, like, The Gray Man to Infinity War. I don't think that's fair. Excuse me.
Just on its own face value.
I wanted to like that movie. You got Ryan Gosling.
Yeah, the Goss.
And you got Chris Evans.
Yeah.
As opposing players, like, it looked...
Foils.
It should be good. Yeah. I mean, it's not bad. It's just...
mediocre.
Yeah. It's just like every other Netflix movie that gets produced.
Yeah.
Except for Extraction, which is a masterpiece. Yeah. Shout out to Travis.
Of course. I still haven't seen Extraction 2.
Oh, man.
I got to get on that.
You don't know what you're missing, buddy.
I know I'm missing something. I feel it in my heart.
It is a movie.
Yeah.
So let's get back to the trailer itself.
Okay.
You were saying about the look and feel.
Very
of
retro stylized, very, very old school, almost golden era comic book accurate look and feel. And, I think that's awesome. I think it's so different from everything else we've seen in the MCU in this like retro futuristic 50s Jetson style.
Yeah.
That I think works really well for the Fantastic Four. And it also raises a lot of questions about like how this will eventually get to where we are in the modern MCU. Is this all a flashback? Is this on a... I mean, it seems pretty obvious, but is this on a separate timeline.
Yeah.
That we're going to cross over at some point. What's going to happen to this world? Because we see, what's his name? The Planet Eater. Galactus. We see Galactus hinted at, and that's no good. We know Silver Surfer is there. We know Silver Surfer's involved. That's no good. I'll tell you what. Silver Surfer's there, and a girl.
Yeah.
Everyone's freaking out about that.
Which doesn't even make it. It's like it's not even a thing.
Yeah,
it's not even a person.
No.
It's an entity. I don't care what gender it is.
It's true. It's a Silver Surfer. Yeah. Silly concept to begin with. But yeah, I mean, I like first glance, I like the aesthetic. I like how different it feels. I like sort of the rapport of the cast. And it does seem, like it has a comedic bend to it, which you kind of have to, I think, with something as strange as the Fantastic Four. Mm-hmm. You know, it lends itself to that in such a self-serious universe that you kind of have to lean into it a bit. And I think the culture clash when we eventually have those characters butt up against like Captain America will be interesting to see. And I for one am curious and count me interested in how this will all play out. But I have good vibes. I'm not going to say I know for sure it's going to be great off this trailer, but trailer did give me confidence that I didn't have beforehand. It piqued my interest in a way I wasn't expecting it to. Okay. So, not trash for me.
No, I mean, the trailer itself, not trash. It looks, I mean, what were you saying about the look and feel of it? Definitely has that retro vibe to it. Definitely, I mean, I'm assuming that they're going to do some kind of multiverse thing with it.
They got it.
Yeah, that's the only way that you can bring them into the... Because if the movie is set in the 60s, 50s or 60s...
But also not our 50s or 60s.
Right, yeah.
There's like floating cars and,
Yeah, so it's a futuristic past.
It's like a Fallout kind of thing.
Yeah. So that's impossible. So it has to be a different unit. Well, and that's really the only way that you can essentially introduce all of these world-altering heroes in the MCU, because the problem is if you make no mention, and they couldn't obviously because they didn't have the rights at the time, but if you make no mention of like the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, Daredevil, these people who are affecting the world in which you live in, and then you have this multi-part, years-long saga, then you kind of write yourself into a corner and you go, how do we introduce these characters into this series now? And it's like you can't expect the audience to just be like, well, I guess the Fantastic Four was in the Bronx doing something, and nobody cared about Reed Richards, the smartest human being on the planet.
The Fantastic Four were in upstate New York.
Right. So I'm assuming it's going to be a multiverse thing. And I'll just say for the record, I don't care. Introduce them however you need to. I really don't. The logistics of that. I mean, they've been doing a thing with trying to introduce the multiverse in a way that makes sense, at least to the MCU with the TVA and they did kind of a soft launch with Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah. That clearly opened the door for all the Fox properties to come right in.
Right. So I just hope that they don't just go, we can pluck anything out of anywhere and just put it into whatever we want because TVA. Because now you've established rules, right? You've got these characters who can't do certain things because they affect certain timelines, and it does this, that, and the other thing. And time travel and multiverses always get too complicated, so don't overcomplicate it.
Yeah. Well, and I think that the TVA can be a fix for that because it's pretty clear that they're like the cops of the multiverse. So they should there should be an issue if things are just plucked from one thing to another. There should be a problem with that. So it shouldn't be done haphazardly. I do like that they wrote themselves into a bit of a corner to not be lazy and just be like, Reed Richards just showed up from this universe into this one. I think that's actually a net benefit. And you brought up a good point that that the multiverse sort of idea allows for all these characters to now be introduced pretty seamlessly, but also and these like, you know, world changing characters to be introduced, but also these world ending characters to be introduced too.
Right.
Because some people are even saying, and this is not a spoiler, but there's the idea that what if Galactus destroys their universe,
right?
You know,
and they have to go
somewhere else.
Yeah.
You know, that's an interesting idea. You know, I find that to be a way of level setting in a way that you don't have to build up every single movie to this world-ending event, because every movie can be a world-ending event in its own way,
right.
And there's still stakes because obviously we're going to get to know and love like the people of this world. Hopefully, you know, that's part of the world building. And it adds stakes to those characters' heroics too, because it's like if these people have lost in the past in the way that like Wolverine did in Deadpool and Wolverine, you know, it adds some gravitas. It adds a little bit of like character development in a way that you wouldn't have otherwise.
And they need to, and these characters need to experience like real loss and not like temporary, you know, this kind of like floating above kind of loss where, you know,
Rocket Raccoon's in peril.
Yeah, and then they save him. And it's like, okay, well, not to say that I wanted Rocket to die.
Sure.
Let me just say for the record, Volume 3 is one of the saddest.
It's so sad.
It is the saddest MCU movie.
Yeah, it's really sad.
It's definitely sadder than watching like Tony Stark give his life in Endgame.
You know,
watching them, I can't honestly, dog. I
tough.
can't rewatch that movie.
It's tough.
It's on my list of unrewatchables.
Yeah.
I don't. It's not fun enough. In the moments where it's not sad,
there's a lot of animal pain, which is always a tough watch.
It's even CGI animals like in space that don't exist.
Well, it makes them cuter.
Yeah,
and they have personalities and they talk.
Oh, it's horrific. It's horrific. I mean,
rough.
Damn you, James Gunn. Damn you.
You really had to end it like that?
Oh God, it was like horrific, man.
It's rough.
Yeah, I can't rewatch it. Rough. So, They need to experience like real loss.
Yeah.
Which is what I thought was so brilliant about Infinity War, was when they actually, and we all knew that it was going to be temporary, but to end a movie where they all actually lost was, instead of that being like the second act of the movie and then you know the blip,
the
third
triumphant
act
return,
right?
Yeah.
They said, no, this movie's over.
You're going to sit with this
dead.
for a few months, and you know we'll be back.
Yeah.
But
they're dead.
You
right
sit
now.
with it.
Yeah. So I love that.
Yeah.
And if the Fantastic Four, if they lose their entire universe, I mean that's a pretty existential loss.
And they've shown within this first trailer that those characters are steeped in loss, as they should be.
Yeah.
As silly as they are, like the story of them being transformed into essentially these freaks who decide to use their powers to become heroes. It is
especially the thing.
Yeah. I mean, the thing gets the short end.
That panel, that comic panel where they're getting their names.
No,
so funny. It's so unintentionally funny because they're all naming themselves, and you know, Reed is like, "I'm the most brilliant man in the world. I'll call myself Mr. Fantastic," and Johnny's like, "You know, I." Kind of, you know, my powers kind of name themselves. I'm the Human Torch.
The Human Torch, yeah.
And Sue's like, you know, she says something. I'm like,
I'm an invisible woman.
No one listens to me. I'm the invisible woman. And then the Thing, he's just like, I'm a hideous, grotesque animal. That's what you called me, right, Reed? Yeah, I'll just be the Thing. Oh, God. And everyone's like, hell yeah, we're the Fantastic Four. It's so, I'll send it to you. It's such a unintentionally funny
Rocks
comic panel. It's like, I live a torturous existence. I'm the Thing.
No one will love me ever.
My organs are rocks. I can't do anything about this. I got the shortest end of the stick.
Yeah.
And I can't kill myself because I'm nearly indestructible.
I'm rocks.
I'm the Thing.
I can fight the Incredible Hulk, but I'm rocks.
He can turn back into one of the smartest human beings on the planet. He can have a wife.
Sure.
I am a monster.
Yeah.
And no one will accept me except for my family, who also despise my existence. I'm the Thing.
I love that angle. I really do. And it's funny because if you know anything about the Fantastic Four, he has a great life. Like, things go well for him.
Yeah.
Despite he embraces the fact that he's Rocks, which is nice. It's great.
I'm Rocks.
He is Rocks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think those characters inherently are much darker than a lot of the other MCU characters, based on the fact that they were transformed into this, as adults. And
I'm sorry. I just one more little detour about the Thing. This guy, it's a TikTok. This guy was playing Marvel Alliance.
Yeah.
And if you pick the Thing, he goes, he looks at himself, and then he goes, ooh.
Oh no!
And then he gets into a fighting stance. Oh my god! Yeah. Okay. That one because I was thinking about it.
He's basically like
why are you randomly laughing?
He's like a reverse leper.
Yeah.
Just super strong, but freakish looking.
The Thing. Okay, so speaking of the Thing, that was one of the big points of contention about the trailer that a lot of people had a problem with, which was Ebon Moss? Ebon something Moss?
Yeah.
He's a three-name guy. Cousin from The Bear.
Yes.
He voice acts him, as well as, I guess, obviously will be in the movie before everything happens. And people weren't a fan of his voice acting, at least in the trailer. Which is obviously, it's hard to be like, but the main criticism was that he doesn't sound like the dude from The Shield,
Michael Chiklis. Not all of us can be Michael Chiklis. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so that's everyone essentially.
Which, mind
their
you,
problem.
Michael Chiklis, perfect casting for the Thing.
Michael Chiklis is he was a fucking man, dude.
So good.
I just want to say also for the record, I know that there's like this thing with nostalgia, and I talk shit about it all the time, especially with like the Star Wars movies and stuff.
Yeah.
But I will say, I remember enjoying the Fantastic Four movie. I don't remember not liking it.
The first or the second one?
The first one.
Okay. Yeah.
The second one was...
I didn't like the marriage subplot. It just got too... Too much. It felt more like a TV show.
Yeah, the second one, from what I remember, I remember it being like, this is kind of cringe.
Yeah.
Like everything, even like the, their whole...
It got too corny.
Yeah. And then it got a little too overcomplicated with like them switching powers and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But the first one I remember thinking like, that was fun. That was fun. I like that.
It was a different time. It was a simpler time.
It was in that window of time where like superhero movies were just blowing up.
Yeah.
You had Spider-Man.
It was in the afterglow of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So
and you're like, we can people will just... They'll just let people like walk around in tights, and like we can just make a comic book movie.
Yeah.
Can you imagine being like a producer? Imagine being like Kevin Feige.
Yeah.
When you finally realize like, we could just dig into the crates of these comic books.
There's a toy chest just waiting to be used.
Yeah. and we will never run out of stuff.
People will continue to show up for this stuff.
I mean, like I could just see him like opening a box and then like just money signs coming out of his eyes, just like. But yeah, so people were not happy about his voice, and I'll be honest.
Yeah.
When he talks, I was a little taken aback that like he didn't do anything differently.
Yeah. Well, he put on a New York accent.
Sort of, but he already had like a Chicago accent, which is an East Coast accent, basically. Midwest. But I get it. I mean, come on. If you talk to anybody, people think I'm from fucking New York, and I'm like, nope, been in the South for almost my whole life.
Just like hip hop.
So if you talk to anybody who's from like fucking Philly or Chicago or any like East Coast, unless you're from Boston,
to the untrained ear,
you're like, you're from the East Coast. It's like, okay, so don't get on my back about it.
I don't know where he's from, like the actor Eben whatever. Moss.
I think it's Ebon.
Ebon?
I believe it's Ebon.
Is it Aaron?
Aaron?
Yeah, that gentleman. I don't know where he's...
I'll do more research. I thought this was your department.
Wow. It's nice for a change. I don't know where he's from, actually, but I remember in an interview, he said that for his character in The Bear, he...
Bears.
Actively presented his character as somebody who kind of puts on a Chicago accent but doesn't really have one naturally.
Yeah.
So he's like kind of trying to overcompensate for something, you know?
Yeah.
So that makes me think maybe the actor himself isn't actually from Chicago either, and maybe he actually naturally has more of a New York accent. And
I'll tell you that you nailed it.
Ah.
He's a 44-year-old Jewish man from Staten Island.
Bam.
So
got him.
he, Ebon Moss Bacharach.
Bacharach.
Full
Yes.
name.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see him in more stuff.
I
It's
like
nice.
him. I've seen,
Yeah.
I've seen some older stuff that he's in, and obviously with the bear kind of blowing him
blew
up.
up, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool because I think he's a good actor. So it's gonna be good, and this obviously is gonna be massive for him.
Absolutely.
So, okay, to kind of get back to the thing, and I'll get off this, but I did want to just mention this because it was like the biggest thing. Excuse me, that I saw.
Yeah, the voice
was people like, oh, the trailer looks good, but what the fuck is up with the thing's voice?
and people like kind of criticizing his look too, which doesn't make much sense.
That I'm just gonna completely ignore. He looks amazing.
He looks comic book accurate. Yeah.
And people are like, oh, the CGI is so bad. It's like,
What?
No, it's not. Actually,
really not.
It looks fantastic.
Well,
I did see somewhere that someone said that in the comics he actually doesn't have a gravelly voice. There's like multiple frames where he's talking on the phone, and it is implied that the person on the other end doesn't know that he's the Thing because he has just a normal voice.
right.
So I think if Matt, whatever, the director, Burt Bacharach,
Yeah, Burt Bacharach.
I think if he is taking inspiration from, and it looks like he is obviously with the movie is with the look of the characters and everything, especially the Thing. I think it's going very, very comic book heavy, and so I say all that to say I don't give a shit about the voice. I want it to be good.
It did not bother me even a hint. And I want your critique. Trash or no trash? First of all,
No trash. Okay. I thought it was great. I was very excited about it.
I thought as much.
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask, because this has been probably the second biggest comment on this trailer. Do you also find it weird that they don't show Mr. Fantastic's abilities?
Yeah, I did think that was weird. I thought that was really strange.
Yeah.
And honestly, I hadn't really seen a lot of people talking about that.
Yeah.
But that was my first thought. Was why don't we see him? We saw everybody else do their thing for like a split second, and do they think that it's too goofy looking? Does he not do anything?
There's been a lot of speculation on this, and the one that I tend to err towards is that the effects aren't quite there yet, and they're waiting to kind of unveil their stretchy effects, because it can obviously look really weird.
Yeah.
We had the same conundrum with Ms. Marvel, because her powers are also stretchy, and to do that stuff, and they adjusted it for the MCU by having like this kind of like aura thing happen instead.
Yeah.
Which worked fine in my opinion. But obviously you can't do that with Mr. Fantastic. He's a stretchable dude, right?
Yeah.
That's the entire thing.
It's the whole thing.
So, I think they're early enough in their production that they're like kind of finishing up the effects.
Yeah.
And it's not quite there yet, and they may be holding it until it's 100% nailed down.
Dude, I think it's so crazy that we're in an era of movie making that's a thing. Like, I always assumed that you release a trailer, not that the movie had to be completely done when you release the trailer, but that it was like 80 to 90% finished.
No.
But no, we're in an era now where you can go back and essentially redo the whole movie.
The movie's done, and they're just doing special effects now, visual effects.
Yeah. But there's movies where they like up until almost like close to the release date, they're still tweaking
weeks
stuff.
Before stuff gets tweaked.
That's crazy.
Insane.
That is crazy that we are in this era of movie making.
Well, which leads into the whole conversation about crunch culture and how that's super unhealthy for visual effects artists.
they're still breaking their
Oh God, yeah.
They acted like they were like, yeah, we get it, we heard you, we're not gonna do that to these guys anymore. We get it.
Yeah.
And then as soon as everybody stopped paying attention, they locked the door behind them. And they were like, you get back to work. Get back to work. I want that stretchy motherfucker on screen, stretching like you wouldn't believe. How dare you? You got a family?
Not anymore. They're taking up too much of your time. You got to focus on the stretch.
You got other priorities. I don't like it.
Yeah. So that's my theory, is that they're just kind of finishing up the visual effects. There's other theories that, maybe Mr. Fantastic will have a different power.
That would be a mistake.
I think so too. I mean, you gotta be able to figure that out at some point, right? Like to make that work without looking ridiculous.
I think they already. I mean, again, they go back to the OG not the OG, but like the ones that we grew up on.
Yeah.
I think they looked. I don't think they looked that silly. I thought they looked pretty good. I mean, maybe.
I mean,
okay,
it's
I need
silly,
to probably
but
go back and rewatch them.
It is silly looking, but it's like kind of inherently silly.
But
so it's like, who
silly.
cares?
Yeah, it's silly. It's their powers are silly. You're trying to adapt a comic book from like what, the 40s or 50s?
It's like 50s, 60s, I think. Yeah.
And their powers are silly. He is the smartest person on the planet, but he also is stretchy. That doesn't even That doesn't even like make any fucking sense.
A man can turn himself into a parachute.
Yeah, the other kid is on fire.
Yeah,
like that's his power. He just is a fireball.
He can fly. Yeah.
And his and the only woman in the comic book can be invisible.
Yes,
Don't like that metaphor.
No. They a little too on the nose.
Yeah. And then again, the guy with the worst life. It's like, I tried to put a bullet in my brain, and I couldn't. The Rock stopped it. I'm the Thing.
The Rock says.
The Rock says. So yeah, it's an inherently silly property.
You gotta embrace it. Embrace it. There's no other way around it.
But I think that's difficult. As seen by the first one, which was too silly, and then the remake from like 2015, which was obviously way too serious and just not a good movie, and it was mired in like post-production and pre-production problems. Yeah, the director came out and denounced it and everything.
Right. That
was a whole thing. But
well, and then we also saw sort of a hint at Mr. Fantastic in Multiverse of Madness.
Right, he didn't look bad in that.
No, that was fine.
Yeah. I forgot all about that.
Yeah.
Damn, they disrespected Krasinski, man. They did the fan service thing just to be like, yeah, he's not the real one. Well, he is the real one in a different universe.
He is a real one, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that leads there's so many branching paths here.
I know. We're only on the one trailer, but
okay, real quick. There is another theory that this trailer for First Steps is hinting at the future of the Fantastic Four, obviously, but also of the what's it called? The League of
Extraordinary Gentlemen.
No, that's DC actually. No, the Mr. Fantastic League, the League of Richards or whatever they have. It's a group that they've put together essentially to have the smartest people in every universe join together and sort of try to keep the multiverse safe in a way.
Yeah.
Another sort of like, police force, if you will, but more on the scientific side of them trying to figure out like solutions to these multiverse ending events,
And that's where we get like the evil Reed Richards.
Exactly. Okay. That's where that comes in.
Oh man, that'd be so sick if all of this was essentially getting to
what if he's the evil?
Yeah, that'd be
pretty cool. That'd be pretty cool. So yeah, there's lots of ways this thing could go, and that's why this trailer is not trash to me, because it opens a lot of doors and it looks really solid on its own merits.
Yeah.
So
I just want to say one last thing.
Okay.
Pedro Pascal as Mr. Fantastic looks great, but I do find it interesting that we're just gonna ignore that he's Latino essentially. And like, not that I have any issue with that. I do think that there are like, we do need to get to a point where actors of every ethnicity, every background can just play roles, and we don't have to do this whole song and dance of like, well, but
Reed Ricardo.
His name is Reed Richards.
Yeah.
He's very clearly of Latin descent.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just think that part of his story would be how difficult it would be, especially in the 60s, to garner respect as a brown person who is also essentially the smartest human being on the planet in that universe. I think that that would be a conflict in the movie. People would be like, hey man, it's cool that you did all of this, but you're still brown. So,
let me take that invention from you real quick.
So I mean, again, they don't have to do it. I'm just throwing it out there that it is interesting that we're just going to kind of be like, Pedro's so hot right now that we're going to ignore systemic racism to put him in this movie.
Yeah, I do think we are to presuppose that this is a more evolved 60s, given the flying cars and such.
Sure. Okay.
The 60s, if there was no racism.
Right.
It's a utopia of everyone flying cars and stuff. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's get off of this.
Enough on that.
Yes.
Please.
Let's move on.
45 minutes into this episode, we've done one trailer.
Let's move on. Okay. Let's talk about the new Jurassic World trailer. What's the subtitle? Okay. Rebirth.
Right.
Excuse me.
Jurassic World requel, if you will.
We still haven't watched.
I started. I got about half an hour through, and I was like, "Let me wait." I was watching the extended edition too.
Man. Oh man.
Yeah.
So because they're doing this with all new characters, are you telling me that like Jeff Goldblum and Sam Neill and Laura Dern, they all got eaten, right?
No.
Oh, that's too bad.
I don't think so. I don't think. I haven't finished the movie.
'Cause they brought him back.
Yeah.
To play with a little bit of fan service.
Yeah. Oh, a little bit?
A little bit. Just a tiny smidge. And then one of the Chris's is in it. Anyway.
Yeah, Rock.
Chris Rock.
He's a velociraptor.
Yeah. Evan Bon Bacharach.
Yes.
All right. So, Rebirth. We got a new Latino actress in this. Scarlett Johansson.
Yes.
And I do find it interesting that she was even tasked with doing this.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, not to say that I think it's good casting. I think it's interesting. I think she's a really good actress, obviously. So I don't know. I just found it really weird to have her in this like decades long series, because when they I guess I don't think like Chris Pratt was on another stratosphere when he got the role, right? It made sense for them to be like, okay, this dude is
mega hot,
right? He's blasting off, so let's put him in this. They're
just taking everyone from the MCU.
Yeah, I guess so.
Are you
Anybody
bored?
who's available?
You done with the MCU? Okay.
Because she's still, firing on all cylinders, and I think we're only in like the second half of her career. Like, there's so much more for her to do.
Sure, yeah.
I think she's already like not multiple Oscar nominations, but I believe she already has an Oscar nomination. She's done everything that you can really do, and I think that that's the strange part about this.
Yeah,
is that she's done essentially everything that you can do, and now she's like, I think I'm going to do a Jurassic Park movie.
Just schlepping for big franchises now?
Yeah,
It seems beneath her.
I was just about to say, like, I don't want to say those words exactly, but yeah, it seems beneath her. I think she's better than this.
Yeah.
I think Mahershala Ali is better than this, too.
100%. Yes. He is a surprise get.
I was very surprised to see him in the trailer.
Which, makes me happy because I love Mahershala Ali, and he adds a gravitas to this movie that it would not have otherwise, because if you look at the rest of the cast that is announced, it's like there's nobody really there. No offense, but like no big names that will pull you in to be like, oh, okay, that's the anchor of this movie. I see. Okay,
right. And that's what they needed. That's why they got ScarJo, and that's why they got. I mean, Mahershala Ali's not like a huge name, but he's good enough and been in.
It's just a fantastic actor, though, and like that's kind of enough.
But I mean, do you think Scarlett Johansson's star power is that kind of pull.
No, and I don't think people will go to this movie for Scarlett Johansson the way that they did for Chris. You know,
right?
Like it's not the same. And I feel like after what's amounted to a failed trilogy with the Jurassic World movies, that's kind of where Jurassic World / Park is right now.
Yeah,
is like it got kicked down a step or two.
Yeah.
So let's readjust. This is no longer Steven Spielberg's Jurassic Park, you know?
Hasn't been for a long time.
Long time. So
also, just for the record, these movies don't need to exist at all. I don't know why they keep making them. I will keep watching them because they've just become schlock. But just for the record, the first Jurassic Park movie is obviously, this goes without saying, one of the greatest movies of all time.
All-time blockbuster.
And then even when you get, like, 2 is fun.
Yeah.
And 3 is silly. You got William H. Macy. I'm like, all right, whatever.
Sure.
After that, you start doing all this rehashing and all these, like, I mean, the first Chris Pratt one was okay.
It was fine. World was fine, but even on first watch, it was kind of a relief that it, like, okay, Jurassic Park is back, and it's pretty good. But it was, to me, like, wildly uneven and led me to be like, this is not going to last.
Right. And you were wrong.
well, no, I wasn't. I meant it's not going to last as in, like, it's not going to be any better than it is right now.
Okay.
It only gets worse from here.
Yeah, because they kept making them.
Yeah.
Even though they didn't need to, they kept doing them.
Yeah. And they continue to.
Well, and the thing is, like, we already kind of had the conversation of what would happen if a dinosaur was in the middle of the United States, for instance. That was, Lost World. We already did this.
Sure.
Now we're in essentially like a post-apocalyptic world. I shouldn't say post-apocalypse because it's not really an apocalypse. There wasn't an apocalypse.
You'll see with part 3, Dominion.
You'll
see
I'm
how
very curious how
humans are coexisting with the dinosaurs now that they're out of the park and just in wildlife.
Yeah.
That is the movie, basically. That's the main story of it.
Yeah, because the one before that, I don't know what it's called. But we watched that one.
Oh, what is it? Fallen Kingdom.
And it ends with like basically everyone kind of like like walking away from that house. And dinosaurs just kind of like, well, now they're here now, so what, just being released into the wild. And then it's like, you know what the next movie is going to be about? And it's like, what, mass murder? Like 4 billion people being trampled?
Yes.
I think you walk out. We talked about this actually, like the idea of still going to work in a post Jurassic World. You just walk outside and like a T-Rex is just walking down the street.
I can't make it in. There's a Brontosaurus in the middle of the highway.
Yeah. Sorry, man. He stepped on my car. Yeah. This is the 4th time in a month.
Do you have dinosaur insurance?
If you don't have dino insurance, man, I don't know what to tell you. You're gonna have to figure it out.
It's like modern day Flintstones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
insane.
Yeah. Well, Rebirth. You could have called 3 movies in this franchise Rebirth at this point.
Yeah. I have very low hopes for this movie and this continuing, apparently, new trilogy they have planned. From what this trailer shows, I like the dynamic between like the 3 leads, Scarlett Johansson, Jonathan Bailey, and Mahershala Ali. I think, the general idea behind the movie of kind of going back to the well of, it's back on this island where the worst of the worst dinosaurs are.
Yeah.
Like, interesting enough, fine, okay. And they clearly hint at there being like these mutated monsters on the island that aren't like dinosaur-like at all. And speaking of like the people behind these movies, the fact that this is made by the guy who did I think Rogue One has me pretty excited. So let me just double check.
Do a little bit of research.
Just a
smidge.
Yeah, Gareth Edwards. Yeah. So I like his directing style. He did Rogue One and the first of the like modern American Godzilla movies.
He did that John David Washington movie.
Yeah, the creator. I haven't seen that one though.
No, me neither.
Can't really speak to it. But he clearly has an eye for cinema and sci-fi specifically. So that's kind of the only thing that really is pulling me in on this one, and the fact that I'm a lifelong Jurassic Park guy.
Yeah.
I will show up.
Dino nerd.
I am a dino DNA. So that's really the only thing that gets me excited about this movie. The trailer to me is not trash. It's fine. But again, nothing in it really got me as excited as I was for the Fantastic Four movie.
Yeah.
So a light, not trash.
I'm gonna go trash, man.
Okay,
I'm gonna go trash. I watched it and I was just like, I haven't. The only interesting thing about this was obviously the aforementioned casting, which I thought was very interesting, and then that mutated dino monster that is, I really hope, going to just splatter that scientist across the fucking.
Yes.
I really need that to happen.
A lot of people are saying this is Gareth Edwards finally being able to do a Raincore.
Yeah.
And if you look at it, and I've seen stills of it, it looks like a Raincore.
Yeah.
So
yeah. If that's the case, just put any kaiju. Just put a bunch of kaiju in the movie.
Sure.
Just make it that.
Crossover with
Godzilla movie.
Yeah.
Just that's the only thing that was interesting to me in the trailer.
They end up on Skull Island
at
the end.
I think the well has run dry, and I think the Jurassic World movies were good, bad, and that's what made them entertaining. When we watched Fallen Kingdom, it was a bad movie. It's not a good movie.
It is no. Well, you were completely right. It falls directly into schlock. In about midway through, I think, and it's
yeah,
this is what we're getting. Okay,
right, and you're like, it's silly. Oh, yeah. I get it. This is a dumb movie.
We're talking about clones.
Yeah,
okay.
We're not supposed to be taking this serious. This is a dumb movie.
Right.
And I just got to be honest. Not to say that I'm above dumb movies, because I certainly am.
No,
not. But this one, I'm just how many more times are we gonna do this? It doesn't have the how do I phrase this? Doesn't have the wealth of stuff that the Fast and the Furious movies does. When those movies go dumb, you're just but they're so much fun.
Yeah,
they're really, really dumb, but they're so much fun. And this, I like what you mentioned about the actors and the seeming chemistry between the three of them does look good, and that does look entertaining. And ScarJo is, like I said, she's fantastic. So
of course
she's going to be great in it. Ali's going to be great in it. Jonathan Bailey, I don't know much about, but he looked good in the trailer.
Yeah, it's it's interesting to have a nerdy guy.
Yeah, yeah, but it's just kind of I've seen it before. She's gonna be the instead of
it's a swap.
Yeah, exactly.
Of the usual,
which I'm not. I don't have a problem with that. Sure. I do I find the contrast interesting.
Yeah.
When you do that, when you do this swap thing, I'm into it. But as with this movie specifically, I'm I don't give a shit. I just don't really give a shit.
And look, I'm gonna call it. And we'll go back after July 2nd when this movie comes out, and we can talk about if I'm right or not. I can almost guarantee this is the way the story's going to go. Okay, he's going to be the nerd. He's going to be really, kind
of mousy.
Yes, the glasses guy, if you will.
Yeah.
And she's going to be the swashbuckler who's, never say die and that typical character.
Yeah. They're going to be on the boat. He's going to do something silly. She's going to give him that kind of that was adorable, but also what an idiot kind of look.
I think they're going to be at odds until a certain point in the movie where, he says something or does something that endears him to her.
Yeah.
And then what's going to happen is he's going to do something really badass and save somebody's life, maybe save her life.
Yeah.
And then it's going to be this thing of him like, gaining this heroicism.
Yeah.
And she's going to go, oh, I've never seen that sign of you. And
Right.
It's going to be that kind of thing.
Right. He's gonna grab a gun and then push the glasses up on the bridge of his nose.
Yeah.
It's gonna be one of those scenes.
Yeah.
He's gonna, and then that move, and
Yeah.
we're supposed to cheer for that.
Get away from her, you bitch.
Excuse me. So yeah, honestly, man, I'm gonna say trash. There's
Fair
nothing
enough.
in this trailer other than that freaky experimental dinosaur that was even remotely interesting.
Yeah.
On a level that would make me spend money to go see this. Now, obviously, I can't wait to watch it just on for scientific purposes.
Of course.
I can't wait to watch it.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
like, did this trailer get me excited? No.
Yeah.
No. Trash.
Okay. Fair enough.
The rare trash. Most of the time, these trailers really work on this show.
I mean,
We
they've
pick
gotten
good trailers.
They've gotten
and
good
movies.
at those trailers.
They really have gotten good at trailers.
Yeah.
But I think trash.
I respect it.
Yep.
Okay, we're done with trailer trash.
Sorry. That could be the end of the episode if
Could.
we wanted
It
it,
really
to be.
could.
But I just poured this beer, so we got to keep on keeping on.
All right. Well, let's go through this Gundam announcement real quick because there's not a lot behind it.
Right.
So
We can get through that pretty fast.
yeah, but I just thought it was exciting because obviously we grew up with Gundam.
Yep.
Anime, famous anime, one of the most famous anime of all time, really.
Yep.
If you're not in the know. But yeah, I just thought it was kind of promising in the fact that it's going to be made by such a major studio as Legendary.
Yeah. Yeah.
That gives me hopes. That's not going to be like a Netflix movie. Yeah, I am hopeful for it. And apparently the director is going to be the person who did Sweet Tooth, the drama, the like fantasy drama on Netflix, funny enough.
Cool.
But that got pretty good reviews and is kind of kid-centric, which
Perfect.
I think will work well for Gundam, which has a lot to do with like adolescent people.
If they do a sort of like Gundam Wing Zero story, probably like one of the more well-known
Sure.
of
That's the one we grew up with, so.
Yeah. Well, and that was the one, I mean, Gundam's been going on since like the early 80s, like 70s.
Oh, yeah. It's one of the OGs. It's,
Yeah.
I mean, one of the first like mecha anime.
Yeah.
So,
But
it's a long heritage.
I think if they are smart, which obviously I know I'm biased. I think I kind of feel like you are a little bit too. With if they do like Gundam Wing Zero and not one of the like the other like the newer ones or the older ones, if they do that sweet spot of like when it was really hot.
Yeah.
Not to say that they have to do the movie based on that series, but if they take the elements of that story, you've got a really, really compelling conversation about child soldiers, the military-industrial complex, you've got
the cost of war.
Yeah, you can really, because that's essentially like Gundam. Those are the questions being asked. That's the conversation that's being had. It's a really dark anime.
It's extremely political and very complex.
Yeah, it's not a. In fact, it's actually surprising that it was part of the Toonami block.
Yeah,
because it is a really like complex show.
It's very dense
when you think about what they're trying. I mean, even boiled down to the fact that they're like Power Rangers essentially.
Yeah,
were these characters from all these different nations and how like the geopolitical conversation is being had between all of these characters.
Yeah.
And you're like, this guy's from Japan and he's got dragon arms, and when you're a kid, like, that's awesome. But actually,
I think he was Chinese.
Or was he Chinese?
Yeah.
Sorry. Apologies.
Yeah.
The Chinese character.
Yeah.
And then there was like a Middle Eastern character
Yeah.
who like had like the round knife for his weapons and like, so wait, so was the leader who had
Hero was from Japan.
Okay, Hero was from Japan.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I knew there was a Japanese kid in there.
Hero Yui.
So, there's a really interesting conversation to be had there if they want to have it.
Yeah.
Or they could just make Pacific Rim,
which they've done.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did that already.
Yeah. Legendary made Pacific Rim. Yeah, right.
Yep.
Okay, so they already know
they know what they're
they
doing.
could do that.
Yeah,
if they wanted to.
Sure.
and it would still work, and I'd still go see it.
Yeah, I do think they're going to go with the original Gundam, like the OG Gundam, which also had a lot to do with like young people thrust into this war. So I could see that definitely working for a modern audience, because it's like it's a timeless story, you know, like kids always suffer in times of war. And yeah, you know, you could still open up that conversation and kind of open the universe for these. I mean, this again, like you said, Gundam's been going on for decades at this point, so you can go anywhere you want in this timeline, this universe. So and even you know, it's complex enough that you can talk about movie from the perspective of the bad guys. Yeah, you know, they've done that. They've done that plenty of times. So there's a lot of moral gray in this universe.
I'm wondering when they're going to do the Neon Genesis movie.
Never. It's never going to happen.
I think you'd have to break some child labor laws.
That would never happen
to make the movie.
No. Don't want to see that. No, we can't do that. No.
Okay, let's get into what used to be one of my favorite pastimes every year. It's kind of like lost its luster over the past couple of years, but we're back. I feel
we're so back,
and not in a good way, but we are back. It's the 97th Academy Awards, and we got the nominations. I don't know, last week or the week before.
Yeah.
By the way, if anybody was wondering, I was just sick last week. That was why.
That's
why we didn't record. I forgot to mention like why. If you're this deep into the pod and you're still like, they never really addressed the fact that like it's been 2 weeks. I was sick. That's all. Okay, it wasn't anything crazy. We got the Oscar nominations for this year, and I'm sure anybody who is in the know, who is looking at pop culture stuff, you already know where I'm about to go with this. If you don't, I'll just tell you that one movie in particular broke the record or tied the record. Yeah. I don't remember if they broke it or they tied it.
I think they tied it. I don't think they broke it.
For the most Oscar nominations in a year with 13, and it was a little title called Emilia Pérez. So we're going to get to that.
Yeah.
But let's get through the nominations first.
Okay.
Let's just do the big ones, because like sound design and production and all that stuff, you guys are all appreciated. I think.
Who cares? Am I right?
But I mean, come on. What are we talking about? Who gives a fuck?
Okay,
let's do it.
Actor in a leading role: Adrian Brody, The Brutalist; Timothée Chalamet, A Complete Unknown; Coleman Domingo for Sing Sing; Ralph Fiennes for Conclave; Sebastian Stan for The Apprentice. An actor in a supporting role: Yura Borisov for Honora; Kieran Culkin for A Real Pain; Edward Norton for A Complete Unknown; Guy Pearce for The Brutalist; and Jeremy Strong for The Apprentice. Actress in a leading role: Cynthia Erivo for Wicked; Carla Sofia Gascon for Emila-Pérez; Mikey Madison for Honora; Demi Moore for The Substance; and Fernanda Torres for I'm Still Here. Actress in a supporting role: Monica Barbaro for A Complete Unknown; Ariana Grande for Wicked; Felicity Jones for The Brutalist; Isabella Rossellini for Conclave; and Zoe Saldana for Emila-Pérez.
Skip the anime. I mean,
I will say, Sherry and I watched The Wild Robot recently. Great movie.
It's going to Inside Out. Like, let's stop playing games.
Yeah, it is.
That's why I don't even give a fuck about it. They always give it to the Pixar movie.
Though, shout out to Wallace and Gromit.
Yeah.
Love that you guys are still doing that. Cinematography: The Brutalist; Dune Part 2, Emila-Pérez, Maria, and Nosferatu.
Which I was surprised to see that movie even got nominated, because I'm like, oh, okay. So it did come out with enough time to get nominated.
Yeah, it seems too soon for that to count, but I guess it does. Directing: Honora, Sean Baker; The Brutalist, Brady Corbett; Completely Unknown, James Mangold; Emila-Pérez, Jacques Audiard; The Substance, Coralie Forgiat.
I'm happy you're doing this, because you know I'd be butchering these fucking...
I only know them because I've heard them before. Otherwise, I would
be
die.
Fucking destroying these names.
Editing, Honora, Sean Baker. The Brutalist, David Jonsko. Conclave, Nick Emerson, Emilia Pérez.
Wait. I'm sorry. Did the director also edit Honora?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. Sean Baker is kind of known for that.
Okay.
Yeah, Emilia Pérez, Juliette Welfing, and Wicked Myron Kirstein.
Sick.
Yeah. Music, original score, The Brutalists, Daniel Blumberg, Conclave, Volker Bertelmann, Emilia Pérez, Clement Ducol, and Camille. Wicked, John Powell and Stephen Schwartz, and The Wild Robot, Chris Bowers. Should we do original song?
Well, I'm interested in the fact that like they did original score and a complete unknown isn't in there, even though it's a biopic. Is it because those songs are already out?
Yes.
But it's a movie about those songs.
It would be if there was a score behind the rest of the movie that isn't already music.
Okay. All right, sure. All right.
Yeah. And it wouldn't be original song either because there's all the songs have already been put out from Bob Dylan, you know?
Yeah. Okay. Maybe that was stupid. But a music biopic, I just think.
Yeah.
It's kind of strange. But then again, yeah, I guess then you'd be giving an Oscar to like a Rolling Stone and you're like, well, we're not going to do that.
Right.
Okay. Sorry. I was just wondering.
All right, let's get to the big guy here, okay? Best Picture. Honora, Alex Coco, Samantha Kwan, and Sean Baker, producers. The Brutalist, Nick Gordon, Brian Young, Andrew Morrison, DJ Guggenheim, and Brandy Corbett, producers. A Complete Unknown, Fred Berger, James Mangold, and Alex Heineman, producers. Conclave, Tessa Ross, Juliet Howell, and Michael A. Jackman, producers. Dune Part 2, Mary Parent, Cale Boiter, Tanya Lapointe, and Denis Villeneuve, producers. Emilia Pérez, Pascal Cachetou, yep. Jacques Audiard, producers. I'm Still Here, Maria Carlotta Bruno, and Rodrigo Teixeira, producers. Nickel Boys, Day Gardner, Jeremy Kleiner, and Jocelyn Barnes, producers. The Substance, Coralie Forgiat and Tim Bevan, and Eric Fellner, producers. Wicked, Mark Platt, producer. Yeah. So there you go. There you have it. I mean, obviously there are plenty more. Please go ahead and look through them. There's, stuff like sound, visual effects, writing, original screenplay.
Do original screenplay.
Okay.
Please. Do it now.
Do it. Writing, original screenplay. Honora, written by Sean Baker. The Brutalist, written by Brandy. Written by Brandy. Written by Brady Corbett, Mona Festvold. A Real Pain, written by Jesse Eisenberg. Yes, that Jesse Eisenberg. Mm-hmm. September 5, written by Moritz Binder, Tim Fellbaum, co-written by Alex David. And The Substance, written by Coralie Forgiat.
I think again, I bring this up all the time now, especially with how these nominations go. But I think it's silly that you can do Best Picture. They extended the category to 10, like, I don't know, like 10 years ago almost at this point. Like, it's probably like 6 or 7 years ago. But it used to be like 5 or 6.
Yeah.
And they extended it to 10. But they don't extend director. So there's only 5 directors being nominated, but 10 movies. But essentially, it's got to be one of the 5 directors who wins.
But it doesn't, apparently.
But it doesn't. But it is, though. It will be. It will be one of the 5 directors nominated. And we're going to pretend like they're going to give it to, like, Sing Sing or something.
Yeah.
And they're not.
Right. Or Nickel Boys.
And we know that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's give our predictions.
Okay.
And then we will talk about the elephant in the room.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes.
So let's go back up to the top.
Okay. From the top. Actor in a leading role. Okay. I think this is going to go to... I think Timothy's going to get it this year.
You think Timothy's going to get it?
Timothy's going to get it. There's a lot of buzz behind A Complete Unknown, specifically for his performance.
Yeah.
I do think that Adrian Brody is definitely in the running.
Yeah. There's a lot of good press for that, except for the AI stuff. But
yeah, but that kind of came and went.
Yeah,
nobody
really hang
after
around.
A while.
Yeah, they talked about it. Everyone was upset for like a minute, and then they just kind of ignored it.
Yeah,
which is again what you're supposed to do. If you want to get through any kind of controversy that you don't have answers for,
just keep moving.
Just keep moving.
Keep it moving.
Just walk through it. And what'll happen is either it registers on the Richter scale enough that people will go. It'll be like that meme of Darkseid and Superman where he's like grabbing his cape. Either it'll be that, or people will just let you walk on by.
Yeah.
So the first move, I think, in any kind of like cancel culture, quote unquote thing, is just keep walking and see what happens.
Well,
not to give advice to shitty people, but I mean,
but it goes to show that if the thing itself is good enough, people will stop caring about the controversy.
Yeah.
For better and worse.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are my 2 picks, but I think that Timothy's going to take it.
I think that I think it's between Adrian Brody and Sebastian Stan. I think I've seen it. I think that Hollywood would be making a statement, which I don't believe that they actually would be making a statement, but I do think that people would think of it as a statement.
Yeah.
If he won, Sebastian Stan, I mean.
Yeah.
Because some people are looking at that movie as like a hit piece and not just an account of things that happened where he just put on his best performance. But I'm seeing a lot of people talk about how, regardless of how you feel about Trump, regardless of how you feel about the message, Sebastian Stan completely nailed young Trump.
Yeah.
Like he didn't do...
It's not an impression.
He didn't do this.
Yeah.
He's not me.
He couldn't be.
He couldn't be. He couldn't be me.
Couldn't be me.
And he shouldn't be, because again, if you have been paying attention, I mean, we're in our 30s. We've been aware of Donald Trump for
this is a Trump
way
origin
longer.
story.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So when you go back and watch him in earlier stuff where he would pop up on like Oprah or like he'd be in like The Fresh Prince, you're like, he wasn't this weird when he was young. He wasn't. I'm not gonna call him a normal dude.
He's gotten progressively weirder though.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so Sebastian Stan really nails the nuances of being a person who is still strange. His mannerisms are strange. The way he talks is weird, but not so abnormal that it becomes. You couldn't do a Trump impression in 1995.
No.
It had to get to 20 years from that
and people
point.
didn't.
No, nobody did Donald Trump
that
impressions.
just goes to show how much he's changed.
Right.
How much of a caricature he's been
or
become of a human being.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because nobody did him.
Yeah.
So, I think it's between... I think Timothée Chalamet... I think it's going to be another one of those things where everybody thinks he should have won. And I think 10 years from now, we'll look back and go, he should have won for that. Yeah. He really crushed that.
And maybe he'll get a gimme in the future.
He will.
If he doesn't
get it now, he will get a gimme later.
Yeah. Okay. Actor in supporting role. I think that this will go to... This is tough because I haven't seen any of these movies.
Yeah.
I can't really say. I've heard a lot of...
You gave an opinion on the first one, which had a lot of the same... So...
Well, I have seen Conclave, and I think that Ray Fiennes was great in it. Okay. I'm going to go with... I've heard a lot of buzz about A Real Pain.
Yeah.
And Kieran Culkin is, great in everything he does. So I'm leaning towards Kieran Culkin.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's enough of kind of an underseen movie. And I think the Academy will want to highlight it in that way. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to go with Kieran Culkin. I could see it going to Jeremy Strong. Because, again, another just great actor, great character actor that doesn't get to shine as much as he probably should. Especially in, movies. So I would say those are my top 2 contenders. I think it may go to Kieran Culkin, though.
Yeah. I think it goes to Kieran Culkin as well. I think, again, I haven't seen a lot of these movies either. Let me just be completely transparent. This is a gamble. This is we have gone into this is more of a sports book part of the podcast.
We're betting on horses right now.
Yeah. This is not I would love to tell you that I am basing this opinion on watching all of these movies and giving my honest opinion on their performances. And what's going to happen is we're both going to see a handful of these in the next couple of months.
Yeah.
And then we'll come back and be like, man, actually, Edward Norton was amazing. Yeah. And it maybe should have gone to him. But I'm just telling you from, I think we're both going from like buzz, press, history. Yeah. We're making an educated guess on these nominations, okay?
Yes.
So I think it's going to Kieran Culkin as well.
Okay. Actress in a leading role, I think this is going to be a shoo-in for Demi Moore.
But you saw The Substance.
I did see The Substance, so that, obviously is painting my judgment here. I've heard great things about all these performances. We will talk about the elephant in the room. And, I've seen Wicked as well. I don't think Cynthia Erivo is going to win for Best Actress. Great performance. I just don't think it's like Best Actress necessarily worthy. But I do think everything is in Demi Moore's sort of favor for this win.
Yeah.
Given, her history in Hollywood, the substance of the substance, what it's about. What's about. And again, we talked so much about how much Hollywood loves movies about Hollywood.
Yeah.
And this is another one of those. And, not to take anything away from her performance, because I think it was incredible. And I don't think it would be very hard to find another actor that would fill that role in the way that she did.
Yeah.
Given her personal history, given her history with Hollywood, given her, current state in Hollywood. I think it was perfect casting. I think she did a perfect performance in that role, and she deserves it. And I think that politically, I think there's a lot going for her in this. As a secondary, I will say Mikey Madison, because I've heard only good things about Honora.
Yeah.
So those are my top two.
Yeah. I think it's between Demi Moore and Cynthia Erivo. Just given everything that I've seen about Wicked. And also, I'm thinking about Jennifer Hudson winning for Dreamgirls. I'm thinking the Academy really likes performances like that. But I'm also thinking about Jamie Lee Curtis getting a, with all due respect, an undeserved supporting actress Oscar for Everything Everywhere.
Agreed.
And I think you're right. I think given her history in Hollywood, it's about time she gets one.
Yeah.
So I think it's between the two of them. If I had to pick one, I'm going Demi Moore as well.
Yeah.
I think it's Demi Moore.
I will say I wouldn't be mad if Cynthia Erivo won. I feel like I sounded very hard on her performance. She was great.
No, I don't think you did. I think you kind of, took the middle of the road.
She was fantastic in Wicked.
She didn't sound like a cunt at all.
Thank you. Okay.
Before we move on, as far as the elephant in the room is concerned, I do think that she had a really, really good chance until everything happened.
Yes.
So
speaking of Carla Sofia Gascon.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll get back to that. Actress in a supporting role. This one, I think, is going to go to Isabella Rossellini. She was fantastic in Conclave. Didn't have a big role, but is one of those that made a lot out of a little.
Right.
And again, another actor who's essentially Hollywood royalty that's been around for a long time, just clocking in incredible performance after incredible performance. That would be my get, but I will say I wouldn't be surprised if Ariana Grande is a dark horse.
Yeah.
Just because, honestly, one of the things that I walked out of that movie theater thinking after watching Wicked was she's a lot better than I expected her to be. And I've seen her get a lot of flack on Twitter and them taking clips out of context from the movie and being like, oh, she's so stiff in this role. How could this be, even considered for an Oscar? But it's in the context of the movie, that's her character. And I think she did a really good job in her role. So she'd be my runner-up personally.
Yeah.
But I do think it will go to Isabella Rossellini.
I'm gonna throw a real dark horse at you.
Okay.
I think Monica Barbaro wins for A Complete Unknown, and I also think that that's the only Oscar that movie gets.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just have a feeling that's going to be one of those movies where everyone goes, seriously?
Yeah. What happened?
What the fuck?
Yeah.
And she's going to get the only one. I'm throwing it out there. I feel really good about this one. I feel so good that I would like put money on that.
Yeah.
I feel pretty good about that one.
You say that, and I almost got like timeline shivers because I could see that happening.
I feel real good about that.
I could see that happening. That feels right.
Yeah.
For what would happen in the Academy Awards. Yeah, it could be. Could be. Any secondary runner-ups that you want to point out, or is that kind of your one call?
Well, to kind of get with the stuff with the main actress, and I'm spacing on her name. Apologies, but I think that has put a dark cloud over Emilia Pérez. I do think that what we're about to talk about once we get through this, the many Oscar nominations that it got, I think the fact that Zoe Saldana got nominated, I think, is being buried by all of the bad press.
Yeah.
And everything that you see about the movie is her. And I think that if Hollywood is going to do this crazy thing where they give this movie a bunch of awards, she's definitely going to be one of them. I think Zoe's an incredible actress. Childhood crush. Just throwing that out there.
Sure.
And I think that she's long overdue.
She's our Ahura. Damn it.
Although, I mean, she's got a lot of bad history too,
Yeah.
and I'm thinking about the Nina Simone movie specifically,
Yeah,
and some other stuff that she's done, and so she's not perfect.
No,
and
no.
and I think that
she's got a bad agent. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, definitely, and she's made some interesting choices.
Yeah,
but I do think that if I don't. I'll just say this. I don't think that it goes in this direction. I don't think that Hollywood rewards that movie with probably anything.
I think it'll get something.
Maybe best songs, because it's nominated in songs.
Such a spit in the face. I don't know.
But I think, like, how do you nominate the movie and not reward it with? Because you already have gotten over the hump of, like, everyone's telling you that these movies are terrible, or these songs are terrible, and you decided to nominate them anyway. So you've already gotten past that.
Sure.
Just give them just go full Monty, man. Just give them the fucking award.
I mean, that's what the Globes did, right?
Yeah. So I don't. The Golden Globes are not a good indication, but they're
in fact, it's like kind of contrarian a lot of the times.
Yeah.
Like,
sometimes it's like a bad.
They get one thing and it's like
black mark on your movie, and you're like, oh no, we got a Golden Globe. Fuck, we're not getting anything after this.
Well, that's it, boys.
A fucking SAG award.
It's over.
Somebody get a fucking Critics' Choice Award or something.
MTV.
Jesus Christ. We can't get Best Kiss in this bitch, but we got a fucking Golden Globe. So, yeah, my second choice would be Zoe Saldana.
Okay. All right. Well, as you said for animated, Inside Out 2, I agree.
I think it goes Inside Out.
I agree. I do think that The Wild Robot, I'd be happy if it won. Don't think it will.
Sure.
Cinematography, I think they're going to give it to Dune Part 2 because it's the only one really that it got on that level.
I agree. And also, by the way, a fucking crime.
Awful.
An
awful.
Unbelievable snub. Some of the other stuff, some of the other actors and actresses and directors got snubbed, but this one, huge snub. That it like essentially is like the biggest category it got nominated in was cinematography.
Well, and I think it is a victim to recency bias because it was so long ago.
Yeah.
I think people forgot.
Well, and if you look at how voters, the insider information about the voters in the Academy will piss you the fuck off.
Yeah.
If you still care about this sort of thing, which, this is fun, but like whatever. It's not. I'm not gonna lose sleep over the shit. But if you actually still care about the shit and you look up the interviews where they talk to some of the voters,
Yeah.
you would want to strangle somebody.
Yeah.
Because if my job all year was to just watch these movies and then give my honest opinion, and some of them are like, I didn't watch it. My friend told me that it was, so I just voted for that one. It make you want to fucking strangle somebody.
Like,
for real.
You should have, like, that should be a role with responsibility, right? Like,
it should be. Yeah.
It should be given to people who give a shit.
Yeah.
Because I would love that. I would love to have a say in the Academy. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
These people are so like so.
We talk about this shit for free.
Yeah.
You don't think if you gave us the opportunity to, like, if you just sent me a reel of all of these movies and just said, which one do you think is the best?
Yeah.
Dude, I would fucking love that.
Yeah. But these people are so jaded because they have this opportunity every year that they don't take it seriously.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Fuck them.
But yeah, I would love doing part 2 to get that, and I think it will.
I think it will as well.
Yeah, runner up. I think maybe The Brutalist,
mm-hmm.
but we'll see. Directing. I think this one will go to. Oh, this is tough. This is a tough one.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say either Anora or The Substance. Coralie Forgiat or Sean Baker. I think the two of them have really gotten a lot of buzz recently.
Mm-hmm.
With kind of these two movies really being their babies and it being really celebrated that they're these kind of out of the box, interesting directors in our current times. So I think with that, they'll take it. I'll give a third, and I think it may go to The Brutalist as well.
Yeah.
Because I've, again, heard a lot of buzz about this movie for its scope and the fact that it was done on such a tight budget. Like, it's a very big, long movie.
Yeah.
But also was done on, like, a shoestring budget, apparently. For Hollywood, I'll say.
Yeah.
Not a true shoestring budget, but, you know, for Hollywood, a very, very small budget for such a big movie. Those are my guesses.
Yeah. I think it's, again, this dark cloud that's over Emilia Pérez really kind of fucks up some of these, because I do truly think that he would have won
Jacques
for directing.
Yeah.
If not for everything that's happened. I really think that it would have gone to him.
Well,
and I think people would have been pissed, but I think that you don't nominate a movie 13 times without giving it a couple of them.
Something. Yeah.
And I think that he would have been one of them. I really do.
Well, and I do know from reviews that even detractors of this movie, even before the controversy, were saying that the movie sucks, the songs suck, some of the performances suck, the writing sucks, but the direction's pretty interesting and it looks really good.
There you go.
So yeah, you know that you may have a point there.
I think it could have happened.
You
I really think it could have happened.
There. It may still happen. It may still happen.
I don't know. I think they just have to, like, come to grips with, like, you just can't reward the movie. But you can't turn it into, like, a multi-Oscar winning movie. I mean, that's just, it is what it is.
Do you know the ego of these people, though?
But the thing is, I think, okay, I think if like Will Smith, for instance, had slapped Chris Rock at, like, the Golden Globes, then he wouldn't have won the Oscar. Because I think they would have gone back behind the scenes and been like, well, we certainly can't give him this. Yeah. But it was he slapped him at the Oscars. Right. It's like, well, we got to give him the award now.
Before
he
was getting
and then
the
he
award.
has to go up there and he has to do this whole I love that. Just And
I'm happy, I'm sad, I'm angry.
I think I think if he had done it at the Critics' Choice Awards, they would have switched it.
Yeah.
And I think that they are, as we speak, reprinting some envelopes.
Probably.
You know what I'm saying?
Probably. Yeah.
So,
well, who do you think is going to take it then?
I think it goes to The Brutalist.
Okay.
Yeah.
Solid pick.
I think that's one of those, like you were saying, like one of those, like, Hollywood movies. Big, long, big production. You know, just like a celebration of filmmaking.
Yeah.
I think it goes to The Brutalist. And I think that that's the only award that The Brutalist gets, probably. Maybe Adrian Brody, but I think that it gets Best Movie, and I don't think it gets... Or I think it gets Best Director, but it doesn't get Best Movie.
Yeah.
That's what I think happens. I think we're going to get a real swerve with Best Movie.
I'll agree with that. I don't think Adrian Brody's going to get it because he's gotten it before.
Yeah.
And I don't think The Brutalist, the buzz is big enough for specifically his performance.
No.
To overcome kind of the return.
Well, imagine making Adrian Brody a 2-time Best Actor. I mean, you're telling me Adrian Brody's as good as Jack Nicholson? Not to say that that's no diss on Adrian Brody,
sure,
although Adrian Brody I think is a strange cat. But as far as an actor, I think he's very talented.
Sure. I mean, I would personally want an award for doing a movie without a pedophile, but
yeah.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, any PDF file, excuse me.
All right. Let's get to movie. Are we doing editing? What are you looking at?
I'm looking at editing.
Why?
Who can say? Okay.
Who can say?
Yeah, let's go on to Best Picture. So I think Best Picture is going to go to... This is tough. This is really tough. This is really tough. I'm going to say The Brutalist. I'm going to say The Brutalist.
Okay.
I think it is a success story. Again, doing a lot with comparatively little. And it is an Oscar. From what I've, understood about the movie. Again, I haven't seen it. From what I understand about the movie, it's presented as very much an Oscar-ass movie.
Yeah.
And it feels like it's a tee up for an Oscar. I will say I am probably the least confident about this one as I am the rest of them. But I do think it will go to The Brutalist ultimately. My personal pick from the movies that I've seen here would be The Substance, but it's too weird and too gory for it to win Best Picture. I would love Dune Part 2, but it is too sci-fi to win. Wicked, is not going to win. It's a great musical. I think it's a lot of fun. It's well told, well acted, good songs, etc., etc. Not going to win an Oscar for Best Picture.
No.
Conclave, full of fantastic performances, looks absolutely beautiful. Should win an award. I think it deserves something, but I don't think it's going to win Best Picture. Wouldn't be mad if it did, though. That's everything I've seen thus far.
Okay. So I'm gonna throw you another curveball here.
Okay.
I think given everything that we talked about,
I
think it goes to The Substance. I do. I think they're gonna go real weird with this one. I think out of the nominees, the easiest one, and this is no disrespect to your pick, but I think the easiest one is The Brutalist.
Yeah. Oh, it is. That's why I picked it.
Yeah. So I do think that that's probably got the best chance. Biopics, unless they are like extraordinary, don't usually clean up in the other categories. It's always like, okay, did Taron Egerton do really good or did he just do good?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Rami Malek won for the Queen movie, but that movie's dog shit. It got nominated for other shit, but like he won, and that was it. Everyone agreed.
and editing.
Oh my god, what a fucking! That's crazy that it won for editing.
Yeah.
People must have watched the movie with their eyes closed. That's the only way that I can reconcile that.
Sure.
But Rami Malek is a great actor who got his Oscar out of the way. Now he can do whatever he wants. And I do think that he is. I think he's good in the movie. I think
Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah. Thank you. I guess I could have just gone through their fucking song titles.
I Want to Break Free.
Yeah. We Will Rock You, the Queen story.
Fat Bottom Girls.
That's good. Fat Bottom Girls, the Queen story.
Get on your bikes and ride.
I think the movie's terrible. I think it's a bad movie, and I think he's great in it. It's like when I'm thinking like when Leo got nominated for the Hoover movie, the J. Edgar Hoover movie. That movie sucked, but he was so good in it.
Yeah,
that you got to throw him an Oscar now.
Well, to some degree, the Joker.
Not to some degree, to all degrees. That movie sucks too.
I don't think it's as bad as like J. Edgar
or Bohemian Rhapsody. Or the We Will Rock You movie.
Yes.
No, it's not. It's better than those movies. But he definitely won because of just solely because of his performance. That movie was not going to win anything.
Good performance, not great movie.
So, yeah, I don't think A Complete Unknown gets anything. I will like to go back to the Best Actor nominations. I do think you're not wrong. This could be Timmy's year.
Yeah.
It seems like it's his year. Everything that he's done seems to be culminating in a big Oscar win.
Yeah.
So as far as momentum is concerned, I could see that happening for sure. But if it's going to win anything, it's going to be between that or, like I said, the Best Supporting Actress. Mm-hmm. And those would be the only ones. Yeah. And it doesn't get anything else. So I don't think it takes Best Movie.
Yeah.
I think, The Substance has got the dark horse chance. I think The Brutalist has the best chance. And I think Emilia Pérez, again, was one of those movies that I feel like being nominated 13 times. You can't just ignore that. It had to have won at least half of those.
You can't talk to a man like Mo Green like that.
So, yeah, I mean, my pick is The Substance. The real pick is The Brutalist, but my dark horse is The Substance.
Okay.
I mean, it's going to be The Brutalist, but I'm thinking The Substance. I want The Substance. If I was going to put money on it,
I would love that.
I'm going for the odds.
Yeah,
I want more money. I want my parlay to really hit.
Yeah.
I would put The Substance in my parlay.
Okay.
But if I was just making a straight up bet, I would do The Brutalist.
Yeah.
Does that make sense to you guys? If you guys know about betting.
Hard rock is legal in Florida.
That's right.
Yeah.
Hard rock is legal in Florida. All right. We must address the elephant.
Okay, yeah. Emilia Pérez.
Emilia Pérez.
The controversy.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about that. 13 Oscar nominations for Emilia Pérez. Number one, let's just talk about the fact that it is, I think, sitting at a 70-something% on Rotten Tomatoes right now, which isn't terrible, obviously. 70% is a decent movie. Yeah. Like a good movie. Sure. A good movie. Not 13 Oscar nominations good, but good.
Yeah. And only to say that because that's critics' reviews of a movie that's getting this many Oscar nominations.
Right. So critically, it is seen as a decent to good movie. That's what the Rotten Tomatoes aggregate score is, right? So that's just from a professional aspect.
Right.
It's kind of hard to reconcile 13 Oscar nominations with a 70-something. Let me just give you the number, the real number, just so I'm not saying. But
you're doing so much research this episode.
I'm doing all the research.
It's crazy.
I mean, what do you even do here?
I drink the beer.
Has a 72% on Rotten Tomatoes, a 5.5% out of 10 on IMDb. So kind of a disparity there. But
yeah.
So 72%, again, not terrible. The biggest thing I think is the court of public opinion on the movie itself, which is that there are a lot of people that didn't even know it existed, and then the people that did find out that it existed were like, well, this must be a joke.
Yeah.
This can't be real. It's got to be.
Yeah.
When you guys showed me that TikTok, I was like, well, what is
it's nice to meet you.
And I had never heard of it. I'd never heard of this movie before. Before that day that you guys showed me that TikTok. And I was like, well, that's just silly. That's hilarious. That's actually hilarious.
This is an SNL skit, right?
It must be. It must be. There's no way. And I thought that it was going to go the way of like that Nina Simone movie where it's like, oh man, Zoe Saldana's in another like weird bad movie.
Yeah.
What is she doing? No, I was wrong. And it was a massive, massive movie. one of the other biggest points of contention has been Mexicans.
Yeah.
Who are offended by this movie's existence and by the themes that are explored in the movie and by the callousness in which they handle a lot of these issues, trans rights, Mexican representation. I'm trying to think
the setting itself.
The setting,
supposedly being in Mexico City, but it being a desert, and
the classic. It's in a Latin country, so it has to be like that beige.
Yeah, the yellow tint.
Yeah. Just so you know that you're in a Latin country.
Yes.
And then the big one, the icing on the cake, the real deal. Why we even get up in the morning?
Yeah.
Is the actress who was nominated for an Oscar, the first trans actress in the history of the Academy to be nominated, Carla Sofia Gasson, is a fucking bitch.
Wow.
There's no other way to say it. I'm not going to mince words. She posted some horrendous things on her Twitter page. Just some really, really... am I going to have to pull up the tweets too?
Look,
what are you even doing?
I'm holding my Chihuahua right now.
God damn!
Who is more authentically Mexican than a lot of people in this movie.
Oh. Okay.
See.
See. See.
Isn't that right?
Isn't that right?
Yes.
I just need like a whole...
I like trans representation, but not at the cost of bad representation for Latinas. See.
Okay. This is from...
It's enough from you.
This is from Variety, and so once these tweets started going viral, her team was really smart in jumping in and cleaning all of this up.
Yeah.
It was too late, but they tried. They tried to delete a bunch of the tweets.
Well, she did them no favors as well.
What do you mean?
She tried to defend herself.
Oh, yeah.
Twice.
Yeah.
And each time was more unsuccessful than the last. So, yeah.
So here's a couple of examples, just so you can kind of get some context. The posts, many of which were deleted on Thursday after they were resurfaced by journalist Sarah Hagee. I apologize if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, if it's a soft G. Were largely posted between 2020 and 2021. One example dated November 22nd, 2020. Quote, "I'm sorry, is it just my impression, or is there more Muslims in Spain? Every time I go to pick up my daughter from school, there are more women with their hair covered and their skirts down to their heels. Next year, instead of English, we'll have to teach Arabic." And in parentheses, Variety has independently translated the tweets. I think that is important to note. Another post from September 2nd, 2020, attached to a photo of a Muslim family in a restaurant, including a woman in a burqa, reads, quote, "Islam is marvelous without any machismo. Women are respected, and when they are so respected, they are left with a little squared hole on their faces for their eyes to be visible and their mouths, but only if she behaves." Now, obviously, she's being facetious. "Although they dress this way for their own enjoyment, how deeply disgusting of humanity." So she has a lot of opinions on Islam.
Apparently.
She has a lot of opinions on Muslims, and she also had some opinions on George Floyd, of course. Along with her post about Islam, Gasson posted a long thread about George Floyd just days after he was killed by a police officer, inspiring protests across the U.S. Quote, "I really think that very few people ever cared about George Floyd, a drug-addicted swindler, but his death has served to once again demonstrate that there are people who still consider black people to be monkeys without rights and consider policemen to be assassins. They're all wrong," which is like,
okay,
thanks.
Tell us what is right, please.
In a follow-up post, Gasson added, "Too many things to reflect on regarding the behavior of our species every time an event occurs. Perhaps it is no longer a question of racism, but of social classes that feel threatened by each other. Maybe that's the only real difference."
Never thought of that, Carla. That's really deep.
And this is some opinions that she had on Hollywood, which is like when they really get upset. When you start talking about Hollywood,
Whoa,
like,
whoa. Too far.
Gaston, who is the first openly trans actor to be nominated for an Academy Award, also weighed on the Oscars ceremony from 2021, the first held following the COVID pandemic, in which Nomadland won for Best Picture. Quote, more and more, the hashtag Oscars are looking like a ceremony for independent and protest films. I didn't know if I was watching an Afro-Korean festival, a Black Lives Matter demonstration, or the 8M, Gaston wrote. Apart from that, an ugly, ugly gala.
Wow.
She also has tweets about COVID. The Chinese vaccine, apart from the mandatory chip, comes with 2 spring rolls, a cat that moves its hand, 2 plastic flowers, a pop-up lantern, 3 telephone lines, and €1 for your first... That is so racist. That's so racist.
Carla, what are you doing? Why did you do that?
That is so crazy to say publicly.
What inspired
That's
this?
so insane. Let me read this shit again. That's insane. She said this shit. Tweet from August 2020 during the COVID-19 pandemic reads, this is insane. The Chinese vaccine, apart from the mandatory chip, comes with 2 spring rolls, a cat that moves its hand, 2 plastic flowers, a pop-up lantern, 3 telephone lines, and €1 for your first controlled purchase. That is so crazy.
Wonderful.
That is, I mean, all of that shit she said was insane. That one was, that really surprised. I wasn't ready for that one, man. I wasn't ready for that one.
It's over the top.
So all that happened these past couple weeks. All that stuff was revealed, and now there is this black mark hanging over Emilia Pérez. What seemed to be a controversial shoo-in for at least half of those rewards. Now they're not even paying for her to attend anymore. She has to pay on her own dime. If she wants to attend any of these other functions, and if she wants to continue promoting, because you know what happens behind the scenes. If you guys are listening to this podcast, I'm sure you're aware of this, but when you are nominated, first of all, like the studio jumps in and they're like, I think that we're gonna petition for you to be nominated for this award. And then once that happens, you have to go out there and you literally have to like a politician,
gotta
like,
sell
this
yourself,
is why I deserve to win. Then when you get nominated, that doesn't stop. You have to continue kind of going like, this is why I should beat these other people in this category and whatnot. So that's why you do the junkets. That's why you do the radio appearances. That's why you show up on Hot Ones. Because not only do you want people to see the movie, but you want people to see your face, and you want people to see you describing the movie. Like, this is the preparation that I did, the months and months, the years, the work that we put in for this. You
Tell
want
your
people
story.
to feel that, so that they turn around and go, oh, maybe they do deserve an Oscar nomination. Maybe they do deserve that Oscar for Best Actress and whatnot. So, that was context and my thoughts. What do you think?
Yeah, I think, I really think that this was more about the message as opposed to the movie itself. I think the Oscars got ahead of themselves with the marketing of this movie being this ultra progressive, like, trans story, and it being about something as topical as, Mexican drug cartels, and got wrapped up in their own sort of meta-narrative around it, as opposed to taking the movie for the sum of its parts. And, I think this only emboldens the people that are like, Hollywood's gotten too woke. This is the example they're going to point to now moving forward. And I think it is so like disingenuous of everyone involved, because if you look at this movie for what it is, and again, I'm saying this from as a person who hasn't seen it but knows about the movie itself, I think it does nobody, justice in the story it's telling. This French male director decided to make a movie about the trans experience and Mexico and the war on drugs, and has been very vocal about the fact that he didn't think he needed to do any research specifically about Mexico and the experience of Mexicans. And
hyper specific thing to jump into without any research. That the hubris on this man.
Well, and he's covering his ass by saying like, well, it's not supposed to be realistic. It's supposed to be like operatic, and it's supposed to be more about this, kind of larger than life story.
Yeah, but he didn't direct Wicked.
Right. Well,
you know what I mean?
And it's so clearly BS because, like, in that case, make it not about Mexico then.
Right.
Make it about France. Make it about a fake country.
Right.
Make it a complete parable or a fantasy where you can make it about, I don't know, San Carlo. This.
You just create a country.
Sure.
This could be a fantasy about anything.
Absolutely.
It could be a fantasy tale.
Right.
It didn't have to be about a Mexican cartel. You didn't have to hire actresses who aren't of Mexican descent, and you didn't have to hire American Latino actresses who can't really pull off a Mexican accent
or can't speak Spanish.
Yeah. Very, very interesting and strange choices.
Yeah. And I think that, obviously the reception of the movie is suffering for it. I haven't really heard anyone in my life say that they've saw it and enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And a lot of the press now is just inherently negative. So it feels really out of touch.
Yeah.
Which doesn't usually happen until, a few years after a movie like this wins a few awards.
Yeah, right.
But the fact that it's happening so quickly is like kind of surprising.
Yeah, that's funny. That's a really good point. You have to kind of look back and go, oh, that movie actually sucked.
Yeah.
Before you can have this kind of conversation. But yeah, this is happening in real time.
Yeah.
There are people going like, this. It's insane that this movie was nominated this many times.
Yeah. So, and obviously I can't speak to the trans experience, but a lot of people have done op-eds and YouTube videos and stuff saying how it's inherently like, I don't know, inaccurate to a lot of trans experiences. And a lot of people are saying that it's kind of actually disrespectful to a lot of people's perspectives on being trans.
Yeah.
And, that's very basic. It's like I've seen people call it like baby's first trans movie.
Yeah.
Or like the director just learned about trans people and made this movie like immediately after.
What a risky thing to do. And I think maybe even the Academy is rewarding his risk. The risk that he's taken by trying to tell this story.
But doesn't that feel so Oscar baity and like disingenuous?
Oh, absolutely. I'm not saying that. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's super disingenuous, and I think it's really. I think it's really just downright shitty of the Academy to look at him and to look at the project that he created and go, "Wow, what a brave soul."
But it
just
shows,
because the story that's being told,
and it shows like how disingenuous that they are themselves, because they're like, "Yeah, this will look good."
Yeah.
Without like actually thinking about it for a second.
You know what, man? And that brings us full circle back to why I don't really give a fuck about the Oscars.
There you go. Yeah.
in the first place.
Sure.
And this is all like a fun thought experiment, and I like doing this because it's it's fun to gamble and it's fun to speculate. But at the end of the day, they really have lost the plot.
Yeah.
The Academy and these awards. And who gets them and who gets nominated. So, case in point, Emilia Pérez.
Yeah. Agreed. All right.
Let's move on to the cheers of the week, okay? Because we this was kind of a bummer going down.
Yeah.
So we got to upswing it
bring
back
her
up.
back
right?
up.
We gotta bring everybody back up, right? And we got to give our cheers of the week. So, Obi, you want to start us off?
Yeah. So I'm cheating a little bit. I have two cheers of the week.
Oh, that is cheating.
I'm gonna do a little combo platter here. My first cheers of the week goes to finally I can say the entire mainline Yakuza franchise.
Yeah.
I've beaten Infinite Wealth at long last, and I mean it is this entire franchise, the Like a Dragon / Yakuza franchise of video games, is so unique because of how long it has gone on. And as someone who's experienced essentially the entire thing outside of the Judgment games and a couple of spin-offs here and there, within the past like year and a half, it is unlike any other game series I've ever played, because you, in a way that you don't normally get to in video games, you get to know and love these characters over years and years of their lives. Like in the video game itself, this is a game that spans from the 80s to modern day. So you see these characters grow and fall in love and fall out and have losses and grow up essentially throughout the games. And it's done in such a charming way that is, again, unlike anything else I've ever played. It's very unique.
There's not a lot of games that do that.
Yeah. And I find it so interesting that it's a game that's kind of transformed over the years to become this now like action RPG, and have its own spin-offs that are still action games, and just makes perfect sense in the universe. And it's very silly, but at the same time very earnest and very well-meaning, and it makes you feel good. It's a game that can get very dark, but can also, like always, I will say, always comes back to this place of like heartfelt earnestness that I really enjoy. And it's very, very unique. And I had held off on it for a long time with Yakuza 0 because it just felt like a whole lot at once. And I felt a little overwhelmed. But after finally like actually committing myself to being like, I'm going to play Yakuza 0 and that's all I'm going to play for a little bit. I never looked back from then on. And I really got sucked in. And I think it really is now one of my favorite series of all time. So excited to see where it goes next. The next one's going to be a pirate game.
Hell yeah.
And an action game. It's not turn-based again. So that'll be a good time. Excited to see where they go from here. But yeah, just get to know these characters in a way that you wouldn't ordinarily unless you're like watching a long-running TV series or a book series or something. So I can only compare to that, which is a perfect segue into my next one, which is Galaxy's Edge, Star Wars. Sherry and I went recently, and it's everything I was hoping it would be and more. Very immersive, a lot of fun. The rides are incredible. so happy we got to go on Rise of the Resistance.
Where is it?
I'll show you later.
No. I need to see it now. It needs to be on the show.
I didn't want to show it off, but okay.
You don't want? Yes, you do. Go.
Sherry, can you grab it from me?
You want me to get the lightsaber? Okay.
So for our anniversary, Sherry helped me with achieving a dream as a Star Wars nerd, which is creating my own lightsaber. And I think that experience, along with Rise of the Resistance, was one of those things that I'm like, okay, this is worth the price of admission.
This is why I had to interrupt you guys with the post-it.
Yes. Oh yeah, this is a good storytelling here. We saw how it started.
Oh and, yeah. If you're keeping score from last week, that's why. That needed to happen during the recording, yes, and not 10 seconds after we turned the camera off.
6:30 photos.
Yeah.
Lightsaber?
Had to. That is what needed to happen.
Okay.
Wow. Okay. Kind of losing a little bit of the luster. Oh! There it is. Oh, my. Ow. Look at that. Look at that hilt.
So I was able to design that bad boy.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Look at that.
So.
Of course, you got to do that.
Yeah.
You went green, huh?
I went green. I went for Qui-Gon slash...
Qui-Gon.
Qui-Gon. Yeah. You got to go Qui-Gon, right?
You got to go Qui-Gon.
Or, Dark Luke.
Yeah, Dark Luke, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And others. So... I will say the entire experience of making your own lightsaber is very expensive, but worth it for the show and the experience of it alone. The actor they have doing, and I know they kind of they switch them out every once in a while, but
oops,
the actor they have that is essentially like your Sherpa for making your lightsaber is excellent. So good. So good. It feels like you're in a movie while you're making it, and I couldn't be happier. It was one of those moments where you can't stop smiling, and Sherry was crying.
Why?
It's very special. Yeah, Sherry was crying because I look so happy. But yeah, it's an entire ceremony, and it's very, very cool. It makes you feel very special, and it's not even to mention the entire world itself is very immersive and super cool. As a Star Wars fan, there's so many hidden little Easter eggs, and the rides again are incredible. Rise of the Resistance is a must experience for any Star Wars nerd such as myself, and I just had an incredible time. It was everything I was hoping for it to be. So. Shout out to Galaxy's Edge. I'm not much of a Disney guy. I'm more of a Universal guy myself. But I will say this is one thing that I would love to go back to and experience again.
All right.
So, yes.
Beautiful. Beautiful. One day I'll have this. And it will be purple.
Yeah. That was the first thing my cousin Jason said was, you didn't go for purple?
You got to go.
And I was like, yeah, well.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Chewbacca saw my green lightsaber and went... So he liked it.
A buddy of mine, shout out to Tyler, he actually recently got his as well. And he went red. He went Sith Lord.
Oh no.
Yeah. He got he bled his crystal.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, he brought it to work because we were all like, dude, we need it. Because he took the day off to go. So we were like, when you come back, you need to bring it. So he did. And as soon as he turned it on, I was like, red? What?
I'm in danger.
Who does that?
Yeah.
So, I think that's awesome. Also, I think you got to go green as well. I think blue, go blue.
No.
Blue's for rookies.
I agree.
I
agree.
So, okay. You going to keep holding that?
Well, you can do this too.
That's cool.
And then...
Oh, that's so sick. What? That's crazy. It knows when it's... Oh, man, that's awesome. That's hard as fuck. And I know that the Kyber's in there blinking. That's sick.
Yeah.
This is like hefty.
It is.
This is a lot of weight to this.
Yeah.
Makes it really substantial.
Yeah. It sells it for you.
Yeah. And I know you can...
Yeah, you can unscrew it all, and you can add different bits and bobs.
Yeah.
Change your kyber crystal. Obviously, you can buy your own kyber crystals. And
how much are the kyber crystals? I think I might go and get like a couple of them.
I don't know. I mean, they sell them even on like aftermarket. So people.
I mean, what am I? Some like fucking some nerf herder.
Yeah.
Go out there and buy a kyber crystal aftermarket.
You could. Oh.
Okay. Beautiful.
Yeah.
My cheers of the week is it's gonna go to this little independent artist. His name is Kendrick Lamar. I don't know if you're familiar with Kendrick Lamar. Dude, get your shit together.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to give it up to Kendrick Lamar and the Super Bowl halftime show. We've talked at length about, hopefully we've gone step by step with this whole Drake and Kendrick saga.
Yes.
And we didn't talk about it, but during our break, I'm trying to think of the word. I'm spacing on words because getting a little buzz, so I'm losing my vocabulary.
Feeling the spirit.
During our unwanted break, there's a better word for that.
Yeah.
There was the Oscars. I'm sorry, not the Oscars, the Grammys. There was the Grammys. The Grammys.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't really give a fuck about the Grammys as well, but Kendrick Lamar did win 5 Grammys for Not Like Us, which is insane. It's the first rap song to win 5 Grammys. It's the first diss song to win any Grammys.
Yeah.
And it's kind of it's really insane when you think about the history of the Oscars for Kendrick Lamar to win song and record, especially with all of the nominees that year. So to throw it to a diss record, to throw it to a rap song, is pretty fucking crazy.
Just solidifies the moment.
Exactly. Yeah. And so performing at the halftime show was the culmination of that moment. And I know that there are a lot of people who were like, it was a boring show, or he didn't play the hits, or, you know, maybe it was too focused on the beef. And to those people, I say, shut up. That's all I have to say about that.
Yeah.
Because it really is, if you're in Kendrick's shoes, first and foremost, like, it is the culmination of the kind of year that he's having.
Yeah.
Everything that kind of got us to this moment, this is the peak of that moment. And so to be able to kind of put on the show that he did in front of 100 million people plus, and to do it the way that he did it, I mean, it was definitely, I was watching it and I was smiling from ear to ear. And maybe I'm a little biased because I'm a Kendrick fan, but I also think that I've seen Kendrick live twice now. We saw him first.
Yeah. Ages ago.
Yeah, but it was an incredible show.
Oh, yeah.
And then I got to see him at Bonnaroo, and both times you saw, to me, was the peak of doing a hip-hop show.
Yeah.
This is a guy who really, really cares about the presentation of what he's doing. He's not just going out there and just rapping the song. He's really, like, a lot of people, when they talk about seeing hip-hop live, they're like, yeah, it's good, but, man, it would be really cool if there was, like, a drummer back there. And that just, like, pisses me the fuck off.
They're not even playing any instruments.
They don't even play anything back there. So when you get somebody like Kendrick who takes this art form to its absolute peak, the threshold of what you can do with hip-hop.
Yeah.
And he does it the way that he did it at the Super Bowl halftime show. Like, I don't know. It's not just very inspiring, but it's like it's a good way to show people, like, look, this is how you do it. This is how it's done. Yeah. So as far as, oh, why didn't he play Money Trees and Poetic Justice, and, like, why didn't he play his big songs? Fuck that.
Yeah.
Put on a show. He took the opportunity to create something that people will talk about for years to come, and not just play his greatest hits.
Yeah.
So I think you have to, if you want to be someone as great as Kendrick Lamar, you got to take risks. You got to take chances, and you have to sometimes put yourself out there, and it may not be received as well in the moment. And there's, again, a lot of people loved it. I saw a lot of people praising it, obviously.
Yeah.
I saw it topping a lot of lists of best halftime shows. But then, you know, there was obviously the usual suspects who weren't going to like it, the Matt Walshes and the Charlie Kirks and whatnot, the racists. But
worst
then there was,
halftime show of all time.
But then there was also crazy to say.
Yeah.
Crazy to say.
Yeah.
When Aerosmith exists. But then there was also people who like hip hop who were also like, man, I just really wish that he had performed more of his hit songs and not done this like Drake focused thing. And it's like, you're really missing the point.
Yeah, it was not Drake focused.
It was not Drake focused at all.
No.
And I think that you really need to have better comprehension skills.
I don't know how you could take that from the show when there's so many overt nods to America in the entire thing.
I think if you are if you're not thinking too deeply about it and you're looking at what's in front of you, you see Serena Williams, for instance, and then you see, and then he does the song and the teasing of the song and all that stuff, and the literal like overt, explicit, like looking directly down the barrel of the camera and being like, "Say Drake," like all of that stuff is so overt that some people missed a lot of the other stuff that was going on, and it's like, dude, I don't want to sound like a pretentious douchebag in telling you that like you didn't get it, because it's not hard to get, but when you don't get it, then I have to be the dickhead who's like, but you didn't get it though, you know, and I don't like being that guy, but I will be that guy,
sure.
So yeah, I think and for the record, also I think like this is it, right? You've hit the top of the mountain. You've won all the Grammys. You did the Super Bowl halftime.
It's time to
I think
move
at this
on.
point, we can just go.
Put it to bed.
Yeah.
Put it to bed.
Yeah. I think anything after this, you kind of have to go, all right, man, maybe we might be milking it.
Yeah.
Just a little.
Yeah. No, I think he's savvy enough to let it lie now. This feels like the pinnacle.
Yeah.
This feels like the end of this moment.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think it's even kind of teased within that show that he's already kind of making new music. Just based on the new material, the little snippet that he performed is like, he's kind of always doing that, is like kind of hinting at what's next.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's already kind of forward leaning. So yeah, I'm excited to see what's next. I'm excited to see where he can go without sort of being tied down to this beef situation. So.
Okay. Yeah. Last but certainly not least, let's review these beers. And we're 2.5 hours. Well, we're not really 2.5 hours in. There's some stuff that's
close,
out, but it's pretty close.
Close.
So,
yeah.
So let's review these brewskis and get on out.
Okay.
Okay. So tonight's beer was from Sideward Brewing. It's the Sideward Sabbath, the 6th edition of their Sideward Sabbath.
Yeah.
A Baltic porter. Obi, what'd you think?
I loved this porter. I'm gonna give it a 5.5. I thought it was fantastic.
Fantastic.
Again, like, you know, they're really good at doing basic really good, and this tasted just like a porter, but kind of close to the pinnacle of what a porter can be. And you know me, I'm not much of a porter or stout guy, but you know, for me, this is pretty close to the best I've had. So, yeah, love it. Think it's fantastic. 5.5. 5.5. The only reason I'm not giving it a 6 is because it didn't elicit like a, oh my God, what am I drinking? This is so good.
Yeah.
But short of that, 5.5. I mean, it's really good.
I think I'm also gonna go with a 5.5.
Yeah.
Again, just a really, really, basic, and not to say basic as an insult, but basic. Like, look, we hit all the notes of this beer.
Yeah.
It's a very like down the line Baltic porter, roasty, malty, semi-sweet, just a little bit, but not overwhelmingly.
Yeah.
Not sweet at all, really. Yeah, just a really, really easy drink.
Yeah.
I mean, we fucking had to hold on to this.
I know.
Because we got to get to the end
Look at
of
this.
the show.
Look at this.
But yeah, very easy to put down.
Yeah.
A couple more of these. So
Yeah.
fantastic job from the people that always do a fantastic job.
Agreed.
At Sideward.
Agreed.
So unanimous 5.5 for the Sideward Sabbath. You think we got it?
I know we got it.
Well, if Obi says we got it, then this episode is over. This has been the One Beer In podcast. For myself, Marco Dupa. For Adam Obesius Rodriguez. Thank you guys for listening. Drink delicious beer. No one does a Wookiee like Adam does. And have a beautiful evening.
We love you. Oh, yeah.